Hello again everyone, and welcome to another MonMae tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll go over how to make an NPC and how to make a trainer. Let's get right into it. In-game, when you talk to an NPC, they'll tell you a few lines, and in this tutorial we're going to learn how to set these lines for any NPC. We'll also learn how to make NPCs from scratch. Inside the MonMae project, if we were to open ARM World Maps, and we double-click on an NPC in the world, we can go into its variables, and here we see the txt message. This number tells the NPC what lines of text to use for this NPC. Going back into the asset browser, if we click on these three lines here and go to included files, you can see the list of files here. If we open an Explorer, and then we click on localization, we can go into the English NPC txt file. And inside this file, there are instructions on how to do what I'm going to say. But to be brief for this tutorial, all you need to know is that for an NPC to have dialogue, in this file, you need to have the number, the lines of dialogue, and then it must end in a period. For our example, we're going to use the number 1 on this NPC. And of course, it'll have these two lines of dialogue, and then when it gets to the period, it'll end. So we'll quickly go back and edit this to change it to number 1, and now let's see how this looks in-game. Now when we talk to this NPC, it gives us the first line of number 1 and then the second. Please note that you can also change the look of this NPC by changing the frame. Now let's make an NPC from scratch. If you go into Objects, World Building, and then look for Object NPC, as long as you're selected in the Instances layer, you can drag and drop the NPC into World Map. Then it's just a matter of double-clicking the NPC, change its frames to whichever one you want. Let's go with this one. We'll pick that one. And then you can go and edit its text message to whichever lines of dialogue you choose. And please remember, these lines of dialogues are in the included file in the English NPC txt file. Trainers work a bit differently, so we're going to make one from scratch. Let's go into Objects, World Building, and Object Trainer. Now remember, the Instances layer must be selected. Then we can simply drag and drop the trainer onto the world map. If we then double click it, we can change its frames to select the look of it. We'll pick frame 3. Then we go into its variables, and we also see a txt message here. Let's go ahead and select number 3, which does not exist in the file, by the way, so we're going to add it. Go to the included files. In the English Trainer txt, open Explorer, go to Localization, and then open the English Trainer txt. Now we're going to edit this. Similar to the NPC one, this one has a number, lines, and then a period. But it also has an extra number, an extra line, and an extra period for each one. Anyways, here we're going to add the number 3. We're going to add a random line. And then we're going to add a period, because we only want one line of dialogue. Then this one is going to be after battle. It will be a number 3, a line because he lost, all, and then another period. Once you've made all your changes, be sure to save the txt file. If you opened it in Notepad, just go to File, Save, and it'll save it at its current location. Inside the World Building folder, there is a note with additional information on how to work with trainers. For this tutorial, we're going to use one of the lines in this example. Specifically, we'll be using the Add Trainer Monster line. So we can copy this, and then if we go back to the trainer, We can then open its creation code and paste it in here. Now this first section decides what monster we'll fight, and this one decides what level. There's some other arguments in this one, but we're going to change this to level 2, so the monster we fight is level 2. Back in MonMae, we are now going to talk to this trainer and fight him. We now see that ending line, and everything worked out perfectly. So as stated before the battle, this function actually accepts more arguments than just 2. And it accepts the name, the level, and up to 4 moves or more. So if we wanted to add some moves for this monster to use, we can type in moves dot, and then you can see the list of all the moves available to use for this monster. If you want to add more moves, you simply add a comma and then do the same thing over again. Then this means this monster will have these 2 moves to use during this battle, even if the monster isn't supposed to have them. The last thing to note is that these names for monsters can be changed in the new script file called monster names. These names aren't the names displayed, as that'll be taken care of in the visual editor later on. So these names are only for working in code. They can be changed to represent the names of the monsters you'll be using. Just be sure to keep them in the same order that you do for the battle sprites. And that's it for this tutorial. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again in more MonMae tutorials.